see the chat? Do I have to have
arcaderadio.live.
Or you can click this. Let me get that into the chat.
And then if you go to arcaderadio.live, just make sure to mute your... Well, you have headphones on, so it doesn't matter.
Well, the link I provided is the pop-out chat, so it's just the chat.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, fancy.
Yeah. He's
That's like next
fancy.
level.
He's fancy.
Oh, shit. I have to change my network.
All right. He just froze up.
So I got to figure out a time to get to Chicago.
Mr. Peabody, Seabart, C.W. Graham, and gang, thanks for joining us in the Arcadosphere, all that shit. We haven't even started yet. Oh.
Chris was here the other day. He said hi.
Oh, shoot. I need to put some... I need to make sure...
Put some underwear on. What?
No, don't be silly.
And
I was going to do that.
I have... Don't be...
the mood.
What's going on, eh?
Someone cleaned my desktop. Now I can't find anything.
Oh, yeah. Chris bought... for those of you who feel like your arcade 1-up cabinets just aren't quite making it with the way the joysticks feel, 2.5-pound springs are really nice.
What is this arcade? One up? What is this?
It's a shit box.
Oh, okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
A shit box. Wait
let's see.
Well, that's gonna set the tone for the show, isn't it?
Hey, I haven't brought up Arcade 1-Up for a while. We did talk about them a bit when the Star Wars came out because I played it out in Vegas.
Yeah, I was there. I played it.
I was impressed with how nice they did with the controller for it's a cheap 1-Up controller.
Chris Farley, the Coneheads. That's right.
That's
that? When at the very end, Beldar tells him, "You will drive my car and not your shitbox." When he's taking the daughter out. Adam said shitbox, and I immediately thought of the Coneheads and Chris Farley. I do not know why, but that's the association.
Hi. I hope this thing works. All right. It looks good though.
My favorite Chris Farley clip is the one where he does the NCAA commercial, and he's like, it's the basketball tournament. He's running through all these like player cardboard cutouts, body checking them, and like knocking them over. And he's like, he shoots at the buzzer. And he completely misses. He's like, and there's more time on the clock. And he goes and grabs it and runs over a couple more cutouts. It's just like the commercial's like that. It's awesome.
Tilly's Arcade, what's up?
Hello.
Canadian Bart.
Seabart.
Seabart. Charlie. Testies. 1, 2, 3.
Hello.
Runner drinking the COVID. I have a porg.
Corona vid light.
I'm boring.
Are you on call?
I'm on call. I'm on call till the 14th, which means 2 shows from now, I'm going to be down
it's gonna
there
be
on
great.
the floor. and the siren's just going to be stuck on.
Does our guest have blasteroids behind him?
No.
That's a space duel?
Whoa.
Yeah,
Space
it's
duel.
a Space Duel, a
With
Tempest,
Dynamite.
and a Star Trek.
Yep.
Oh. Well, I see.
That's a dedicated Star Trek.
It is not dedicated.
That's a asteroids conversion.
That's an asteroids conversion.
No.
No, it's not.
No.
It has the wrong
It's a
shape.
gremlin. It's a gremlin cabinet of some sort.
That's the one that you picked up.
Yeah, so this one was funny. So this one, I just needed...
What is that? I've never seen one in that cabinet.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's like totally weird.
Because look at the coin slots. It's like a Frogger machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a gremlin.
That's what it is. It's a gremlin. I was asking for a cabinet. Actually, I wanted the harness is what I wanted, power supply and harness. And somebody local said, I've got one. It hasn't been powered on in like 7 years. And he gave me a price for it. And I go, okay, does it work? And he goes, that's the price, working or not. And I'm like, okay. So
Nice.
he goes over there, sends me a video, and goes, "It fucking works." And he tries to increase the price, and I'm like, "No, here's the quote." So I end up getting it
Right.
for.
Did you have
Really
him
good price.
sign a non-disclosure agreement?
No, not that one.
But he
So I
got
got
it for a
I got a
steal.
working Star Trek for $500.
Yeah,
Delivered.
screw you. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whenever that happens on a pickup, like if I went to pick up an
What a bunch of dicks I hang out with. What? I'm sorry.
and it was broken, the NBA fast break, and the guy was selling it for 500. And this is because he didn't realize that there was a on-off switch on the bottom. And when we arrived, he figured it out, and then he was like, "Oh, but it works now." And then I was like, "So we have $500?" And he's like, And then I looked at my wife and I said, "Okay, you do it." And then she just ripped him a new one, and we paid $500. It was great.
Can I borrow your wife for some negotiations?
No, don't do it. Don't do it. Look at my son. He looks just like him. Don't let that happen. Don't let that happen.
DNA test, sir. Where were you, Adam, 12 years ago or 15 years? What is it?
19 and a half.
Mm-hmm. So this dude is from Gallifrey? Billy Seven says. Hey, why don't we talk about that really quick? I think it's funny. It's a good anecdote to the beginning of the show. So Barry and I were talking before the show, and he has a little
Go
story
with the
about
anecdote.
way back in the day when and you guys will like this because it's about Apple II stuff, I think. But go ahead, Barry. Tell the story of the Time Lord.
Yeah, so I picked up a while back. I picked up a couple of Apple computers, and I got one of the SD adapters and built it. And so I needed a game to run. So I download a game, and the screen that shows who cracked it pops up. And I look at it for a second, and the phone number, the area code is my hometown up in Canada. And I'm like, well, that's kind of odd. And I look below it, and it says brought to you by, and it has the name of the bulletin board system, which I realized I was the co-sysadmin of in the late 80s. and then so I look up above that, and it says cracked by the Time Lord, which was me in the late 80s. Right? So I had downloaded a game I'd cracked when I was like 16 or 17. And so I'm telling my kids in the car, we're driving, and I'm telling them this, and they go, "Wait, you are a hacker?" And I'm like, "Well, kind of. Yeah, that's why I'm in this industry." And they go, "Did you have an alias?" And I go, "Yeah, well, what's your alias?" And I'm like, "Well, I was the Time Lord." They both lose their shit, right? Because they thought it was the funniest thing ever. And I'm like, to be clear, Doctor Who is cool now. When I was the Time Lord, Doctor Who was not cool.
No.
Right.
Terrible.
I think maybe a few of the chatters and myself have stories of staying up watching Doctor Who. I used to just watch it Saturday nights, and it would come on really late on PBS, mostly Tom Baker episodes. And we had church the next day, and I was almost always awake till 1 a.m. when I watched Doctor Who. Because there's 4 episodes in a row.
What?
It's like watching a movie, sometimes 6.
Yeah, but did you donate enough to PBS to get
Oh
one
my
of the
God.
scarves?
Like a bag, maybe?
Yeah.
No, I got one of the scarves, the reproduction scarves.
I did.
Oh, wow.
No, that was
Ron
before
Baker.
my time, yeah.
Yeah. So
All right. Well, I think it's time to hit the button.
Still looking for that catchphrase, huh?
Yeah. The cat. Why is that funny?
Good one.
Why is that so
I
funny?
love it.
I'm going to change his name right now. Oh, wait. It's already
Why?
pretty good. And, yep. All right.
Welcome you, Eddie.
Your what hurts?
I was welcoming you, Eddie, to the chat.
Oh, boy.
Yo, Eddie.
Live from KOIR Studios in Minneapolis, Minnesota, this is Arcade Radio.
Hello, Commander. Computer reporting.
Intruder alert, intruder alert. Stimulating opponent.
Hey, thanks for joining us in the Arcadosphere. This is Season 4, Episode 23 of the Arcade Radio Podcast. Today is Thursday, June 4th, 2020, and the time is now approximately 7:25 p.m. Central. I'm your host, Adam Stevia Splenda. I'm joined by my co-host, Mark, Time Runner Shields, and Paradise Arcade Shop proprietor and Royal Pain in the Ass Roger Rabbit Fan Club President Brian Thurston Howell Armitage III. And joining us tonight is father, husband, inventor, engineer, console, computer, and arcade hobbyist, Barry Shilmover. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Hey, so...
Am I done? Can I get off?
Yep, thanks. It's
Okay,
been good.
see ya.
Yep, we'll see you in a... Yep,
Nice work.
it's great. That was a good show.
Next year.
We should do more shows like this. It's so... it's...
I don't have any. Brian wants to know what's up with the hair color. I don't have any hair.
Brevity. What hair color? Who's asking about hair? What the hell?
Brian hasn't been around in a while.
It's weird that he's so focused on my hair. Maybe he has an interest in me. Mr. Jones.
He wants to know what's in your Target bag.
Yeah, I do too. I have no idea. That's weird. Probably a bunch of files. Hey, what have you been working on, Mark?
Dang it, me first? Okay. So, let's see. I got Chiller in the mail.
I got
yesterday.
chills. They're multiplying.
Hey, don't give away anything. And STI delivered it. I was a little peeved because it was supposed to be palleted, blanketed, wrapped, strapped, corner blocked. And it was basically wrapped. It had cardboard corners on the sides. And I think that's it. So I didn't get the full, the full treatment. But it's okay to ride fine. And I tweaked it around and got running. The neck board had gotten loose, and so I'd kind of shove it in a little bit further. I mean, it didn't look like it could go any further, but it could. And so
That's what she said.
there was something written on the back of the cabinet. It said XDE. I'm just going to pretend like that didn't happen. It said somebody had signed on the back of the cabinet XDE version 3.5 and then 9/17 2017 or something. And I was like, whoa, that's really weird. So I sent the picture of it to John Exity, and he's like, holy shit, dude, that's my game that I sold to Steve at Grinkers. And I'm like, oh man, how did this happen? So apparently Steve at Grinkers just felt that the game was too violent. There's a post on KLOV. And then I guess he traded it away, and then it exchanged hands 2 times, and then it found its way over here.
That is
kinda
kind of
funny.
cool, actually. Small world.
I'm kind of excited you got that because I realized that the gun that I have on my Cheyenne, which is actually a converted crossbow, is a chiller gun.
Oh, nice. Well, my gun was missing a bolt, so I had to wrap it together. I don't know if that came off during transport or whatever. I do have 2 pivot pins that Jim Bodini made, so maybe that'll improve sort of the way it sort of sits. It's a little wobbly. What was else going on in there? I don't know. It was the mirror wasn't being bolted back. I mean, there's all these things that I would nitpick at. For some reason, that side art, by the way, somebody put that over the original XD side art that was on there after it left Steve. So that's a little weird. So let me move on. Okay, we're moving on away from Chiller, now on to Environmental Discs of Tron. That now has entered the house, and I've been making posts on KLOV about the restore, and so I figured I should tell people what I did to make it light so that you can move it by yourself if you have to, which in my case I move it and my wife watches me move it. Sometimes she puts stuff under it, I'm lifted up and puts those 2x4s under there, and then she's like, but anyway, I got it in the house, and I've got some things to work on I guess this weekend. Hopefully we'll boot it up and see what happens. The monitor works. It's actually here at underneath my desk. I keep touching it with my foot. Let's see. Oh, I got 2 things on eBay because we're talking about Environmental Discitron, I bought an original manual, and the cool thing is it has the schematics, and they're all like in one piece. The ones that are scanned in the official PDF that you find, it's usually, they're chopped up. So, but here it's like all one giant long thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really beautiful. I paid way too much for this. I got into a battle in the last 30 seconds.
Well, that's why you don't bid till the last 7 seconds.
3.
I bid at 8 seconds. I put 151, and then I was outbid. And then I had 4 seconds or 3 seconds, and then I bid 200, and I got it for 162.
Jesus.
So that's a hell of a lot of money. Do you think that's like a record for buying?
That's got to be a record for a manual. Somebody would have sold you one for $20. Holy crap!
I don't know. I just thought.
You know what? I think I want to say something about.
I have 3 here. I would have given you one. But
Shut up.
He's using them to sit on so that he can actually get in front of the camera. That's
right.
Well, now you can sell them on eBay because there's somebody that will spend at least 152.
I will say.
And then
I was just going to say. I will say there is, for me, every one of my games I have a tangible manual.
Nice.
I love having the actual manual, and I know you can get the PDF, and I do actually use the PDFs from time to time, but I actually just love paging through the manual, and there's nothing like looking at the schematic. You pull that thing out, it's like this big. Anyway.
And then last but not least, I bought Hellfire for ColecoVision.
Show us.
And yeah, it's, what do you mean? Show you
the cartridge.
The cartridge.
Yeah. And it's the whole game and everything.
It says Collector Vision.
Do you know who Collector Vision is?
A bunch of nerds somewhere? I don't know.
It's a guy. Yeah.
Oh, it is? Oh.
Yep.
Well, thank you, Collector Vision. I really appreciate it. I was thinking that somehow he'd gotten the original artwork, and because I recreated Hellfire artwork based on images and some high-res scans and things like that. But it turns out mine is higher, more detailed than what they did in this.
It's interesting,
pretty neat.
too. I actually did some work for him, some sprite work at one time. We can talk about that some other time. But I've bought a bunch of CollectorVision stuff over the years, and actually been sorting through my ColecoVision stuff recently. Barry and I were talking about that before the show. Anyway.
What have you been doing?
Me? Oh, nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I got my mousetrap medals back, but I forgot to do the coin drop pieces on the front, so I wait. Have to do those. So went to install the mousetrap CPO I have, but it was an early run, and the alignment is off. So Rich is redoing that for me. And I have most of my medals back from Journey. Scratch that. I have about half of them back. So I need a bunch more powder coated. I have a bunch of stuff that I need to get with Brian on. So I've been working on my Robotron a bit in lieu of that. And I finally got the leg levelers back on. One broke during a move. So I'm rebuilding the soundboard also because back in January, my dreaded sound drop problem returned where I'm playing and it's randomly just the sound goes away. And I thought I had it licked and I didn't. And it turns out that it's probably an actual soundboard problem of all things. Oh my God. So I sought help in the arcade game repair help group on Facebook, and Eugene Mosh gave me some tips and said that the issue sounded like either a 4050 or a 4069 or a PIA needed replacement. So I wanted to socket everything anyway, and I've been going through, with everything that I've been going through since February, I haven't had much time to just sit down and solder stuff. Although I did have time to assemble a little RC car. I could actually show you guys that.
What?
He's been obsessing on this RC car.
I was wondering what was up there.
So I restored a Nico frame buggy Turbo Panther. Here it is in all its glory. I had to take 2 cars, put it together, and everything is minty. I got a new body on this thing. So So
Nice.
super
Can
fun.
you turn, or do you have to go backwards to make it turn?
Oh no, it's it does all this stuff.
Nice. Oh yeah.
Anyway, it's been a lot of fun. I've been racing it around the neighborhood. People are like, "Who's that weirdo with the blonde hair and fatty out there in the middle of the road with his little toy car?"
The Valley RC blonde guy.
Right. So anyway, so I've been doing that, and then I put a bunch of sockets on my board, and I ordered a bunch of chips for my soundboard, and they should be coming soon. And that's pretty much all I've been doing. Oh, I did find one interesting thing though when I was searching for soundboard stuff. There is a place that is selling this stuff. I want to put it in the chat. There's the 8224 soundboard for Williams. You can actually buy that right
What?
here. Chatters. So there is somebody's reproducing these boards, and all you got to do is drop in your ROM chip for whatever game you have. It's pretty cool. So it's otherwise fully populated, which is pretty awesome because you get the PIA and you get the processor, which is either a 6808 or a 6802, and you get the 6810 RAM that goes there. So, but everything's socketed, and I mean, it's almost worth it just to have one of these on, anyway. So check it out. Brian, what have you been working on?
What have I been working on? Not too much in the last week, actually.
Okay. Barry, what have you been working on?
See ya.
I've been watching Brian's videos online, so that's about it.
Which are about nothing. So that's fun.
My wife really appreciates it. It is good stuff.
In the last week, I threw the metal back on so I don't know if I told you guys, the Missile Command top. So I finally got the Cabaret Missile Command, has that like little metal bar on the top. It disappeared for like a year. We could not find it. So I sold my Street Fighter 2 pinball, which had been standing up in the corner of the shop, tip it down, go to put the head up. I'm like, oh, there's something sticking out of the back here. And the metal for the Missile Command is up in the head, like stuck up in there.
That's what she said.
So So anyways, I got that powder coated, fixed that up. Looks great. Now I don't know what the hell to do because now I have a cocktail, an upright, and a cabaret.
But not the cockpit.
I don't actually. Chris Rhodes had a cockpit. I came really close to buying it, but I did not. Missile Command happens to be Susan's favorite game, but she likes the cocktail version, so we have that. Aside from that, I haven't been doing a lot of arcade stuff because, as you guys mentioned the videos, I've been driving through. So for anybody who doesn't know in the chat, we haven't really had one since all this had. The whole stuff with Floyd is in Minneapolis, and he died about 8 blocks that way, and the riots were up this way. So it's been, anyways. So I've been driving through and taking some film of what's been going on there. That's about it. Not much more. Barry, what you been doing?
So other than work, finishing some of the kits that I've been building. I think we'll talk about that at some point. I dug out a board. I just recently bought a Black Widow board that was supposed to be working. I tested it yesterday, and it is working, so that's good.
Oh, yes. I thought you were going to say it wasn't working.
Oh, yeah.
Well, at the same time, I got a fully working Amplifone board with a deflection board, high voltage, and everything, and another one that just deflection board that works. I plugged in the deflection board and it immediately smoked, like literally clouds of smoke, and then the high voltage doesn't produce any high voltage, so none of it works.
You sure it's not a G08? Those like to smoke.
Yeah, no, the G08 in the Star Trek is working, so I got that. That's okay. I worked a little bit on that because I have to replace a speaker on it, and then other than that, just building little projects like PDP-11 running on a Pi, so which is kind of cool.
That is awesome. So did you fabricate the parts for that?
No, there's a guy in Europe that did it. He did an amazing job. They're not cheap, but it's pretty cool. I've got a PDP-8 coming tomorrow.
Nice.
There's a nice wooden box and whatnot. But no, I didn't do that kit.
You keep
Mine.
traveling back in time, and you can be on the PDP-1 playing Space War.
That's the goal. I want a full-size one in here.
That'd be hilarious.
200 square feet. That should be enough, right? Never have to heat the place.
That'd be
that's about
great.
Worst efficient heater though.
Yes. Oh,
So-
and I own a place in Vegas, and my AC went out the hottest week of the year. It was 101 degrees inside my condo.
Do you rent it out?
No, luckily I don't.
Oh.
So luckily
Can I
nobody
rent
was
it
living-
from you?
Sure.
That's awesome. That's actually really cool. Okay, so everybody, we covered everything that we're working on, didn't we?
I believe we did.
Correct.
All right.
It's the Arcade News with Adam Stevens.
That's me. So we have some newsish stuff, you know. Can you guys hear the background stuff?
Very faint. It's like.
How about now? Is that better?
No, it's super faint. Maybe the people in the chat can hear it.
All right. It doesn't really matter. We're just going to go ahead anyway. So, from PCMag.com, Sega wants to power a cloud gaming service with arcade cabinets. The hell you say? So arcade game centers are still popular in Japan, despite COVID. When was this article written anyway?
Today.
And it looks as though Sega has found a new use for all the arcade cabinets that they contain that are not being used. So as Ars Technica reports, Japanese game centers are only open for so many business hours every day. The rest of the time, thousands of arcade cabinets and hardware they contain sit idle. It seems someone at Sega thought of a way to make use of all the performance by utilizing cabinets to help power a cloud gaming service. It's being referred to as fog gaming, which may end up being the name of the service. I don't know. It seems really difficult to say. Are you guys on fog gaming? Did you say fog gaming? What did you say?
Gaming?
Would you say fog gaming? I said fog gaming. Did you say faux gaming? What does that mean?
Not real.
Yeah, fine. So anyway, it's unclear right now how advanced of an idea this is in terms of launching an actual service for Japanese gamers to enjoy at home, and also what games would be offered. Is it going to be limited to, say, arcade games that they already offer in the game centers, or will it be a more general cloud gaming experience offering more titles? I guess we'll find out. Also from foxnews.com, then this is probably not going to be true. A dad recreates arcade claw game in his own bathtub. Okay, I'm just going to end it right there.
Oh, come on, read this article.
Come on.
Wait a minute. It's Williams Bubbles, isn't it?
Dad recreates
He plays
arcade
Bubbles.
claw game in own bathtub, hangs daughter upside down to act as grabber. This is starting to get dirty and
It's
gross.
going to end badly.
It is. As a hilarious video shows a dad recreating. I'm going to copy this
Wait a
link.
minute. You know what he needs? He's probably missing
What's that?
a piranha shower curtain.
Common
Yes.
sense.
You and your shower curtains and bikinis. So anyway, it's a TikTok video, right? So Bradley O'Riordan, 29, is seen dipping his daughter Paris, 3. Boy, those names are Paris O'Riordan. I'm sorry that your dad named you. Into a bathtub full of toys while holding her by her ankles. His other daughter, Lacey, 11, is seen controlling the human the joystick. I get what the hell is happening here? Which I can't read this.
It's a real Fox News article.
This is so not
Half the
good.
people like this.
Oh my god, the human grabber with a joystick, which is made out of the family's kitchen trash can. Okay, O'Riordan's girlfriend, Jade Mitchell, because this isn't complicated enough, she's 28, began making TikTok videos to keep his daughters entertained during lockdown. It just came to the top of my head that I could make a teddy catching machine, said O'Riordan from Essex, England. Oh, I said it without the accent. I gotta start over. It just came to the top of my head that I could make a teddy catching machine, said O'Riordan from Essex, England. We printed the controls and then I got the screwdriver. And that's when I was trying to... Well, he is O'Riordan, you know. I'm trying to get a little bit of Scottish in there. Anyway. Ouch. So, I got my brand new bin and punctured a hole in the top. And then Mitchell, meanwhile, wasn't thrilled about her boyfriend's repurposing of the trash can. Jade was not impressed. So, anyway, that is the weirdest article I have ever seen us do on the news. So, I guess it's over to the gadget guy. I think I got louder.
I always felt that the true stars at Atari was engineering.
Oh, you're an inventor.
Yes, I am.
What have you invented?
A lot of things.
Like
A lot of things. Like things that you've heard of.
Like?
Well, things that you will have heard of, okay? Patents are patented.
Arcade gadgets with Brian the Clown.
Wow. Dolly is really coming down on you for that accent there, Adam.
Someone put that accent out of the misery. Someone put that accent out of its misery. With a piper down.
Gadgets. We're going to talk a lot about gadgets without an accent today, so I'll spare you that one. And then we'll just talk over Adam if he tries to get in. So,
are you trying to sound all sexy now, Brian?
No, this is just my voice.
Oh, I see.
Natural.
This is my natural voice.
Big news.
I'm going to read the gadgets to you.
We will be doing the black and white to color vector converter board. So these allow you to play your classic black and white games, black and white vector games on a color monitor by using the intensity to map over to color. He sold a round of these already, but we are actually going to be producing them for him and putting them up in the store, which is kind of fun. The other new product that I have that I will announce now, we talked about this earlier, but K7500, U2000, and U5000 remote boards for monitors are done. So those are up in the store and ready to go.
Crazy.
And finally, yes, actually, there we go. So Barry has one of them assembled. So these boards take a black and white signal in. They basically map the intensity over to color and then spit that out. There's a number of adjustments on there so that you can actually tune it in and make it look great. So you could take an asteroids, for example, and process it through this and spit it out onto a 6100 and play asteroids in color. So really neat idea. It actually is a way of playing these games in color without having the Syn Vectron unit, which we have here. And I believe they're priced at $60. I need to check. So, other products. One other thing I'll announce. I should have said this in the working section. Coming soon. This is just a print up, but the Warrior artwork is done. So, the side art for Warrior is finished. We're working on talking about getting it silk screen versus printed. And Mark is hiding behind a Discs of Tron.
Neat.
Back.
Did you also buy that on eBay this week?
No.
$8 billion.
It was like $9 trillion.
Somebody said I should do the show inside of a Disc of Tron. This is as good as it gets.
And so our guest today has done an amazing number of products. So I'm going to leave a lot of that discussion for the interview section. And with that, I think we're going to move on to Back to the Cave.
Back in '82, I used to be able to throw a pigskin a quarter mile.
Back to the cave with Time Runner.
Why are things so heavy in the future? Is there a problem with the Earth's gravitational pull?
That's right, Doc. There really is a problem. And we're going to talk about Back to the Cave. Hi. Today's arcade history topic is from 1986, and the game is Chiller. Yes. Chiller is an XD light gun arcade game released again in 1986. The player takes on the role. I love how they're going to try to explain this. The role of an unseen torturer who must maim, mutilate, and murder helpless non-player characters, NPCs. they really did in a variety of dungeon settings. I guess I'm trying to say they're trying to make it look like you're killing people. Oh, thanks for playing that music. Is that it? A few of the non-player characters in the game are capable of fighting back, but with the challenge element lying in how quickly the player can cause each of the victims to die. The game sold poorly in the U.S. because arcade game owners refused to purchase it. Actually successfully marketed it into third world countries, however. Is that crazy? Of course they
Where they're like, this is like Sunday at home.
Jeez.
I love it. I get to kill people. Yes. Boppity boopity.
Boopity boppity.
Why don't I don't know why I said Italy's not a third world country.
Boopity
Modern
boppity.
gamers often criticize the game for its senseless violence and encouraging the torture and murder of apparently innocent people. I mean, all those people were from prison. That's what I say. So, as opposed to the gamer fighting enemies capable of defending themselves. And I thank you.
So, I mean, like, the one thing I think is kind of funny about Chiller is you're playing this, like, terrible graphics 8-bit game and shooting stuff up, and it still manages to be somewhat, like...
offensive?
Like, I mean, it's like... Yeah, it's like... It's clearly not blood, right? I mean, it's like this little, like, block of stuff, but it's terrible.
It's pretty good.
It's wonderful because of it. I mean, it's I put on the XCD multi-kit. It's awesome, but it's like, I mean, you have Mortal Kombat now where you, like, rip people apart and you see, like, a spine that actually looks like an anatomic spine, and that's not as appalling as the Chiller event.
Right. Right.
So
well, at least your goal there was to win a fight. Here you're just killing people, like, in your dungeon or something.
They're, like, tied up and you're shooting them. Yeah.
Happy Halloween. I don't know what we're going to do, but...
Dolly says Brian is sexy.
There you go. It's smoldering.
Smoldering is more like it.
And to move on to the second half of our segment and not talk about how sexy Brian is, I would like to ask Adam, what's in the juke?
What's in the juke?
Hello and welcome to What's in the Juke, the weekly show where we play 10 songs and you guess what they are by answering if you know the song's title or the artist. If you know the song's title, you get a half point. If you guess the artist, you will also get a half point. If you somehow guess both, guess what?
Full point.
If you don't know, fight it out. And here we go, where Adam is going to pick to play part of the song somewhere randomly, hopefully, and you won't know what it is. Here we go. We're watching the chat. If you said something and then it looks like somebody else said it before you, I'm sorry, but we're going to go in the order that we see it together. You may begin.
Okay, so tonight's players that are exempt from winning any prizes are Brian Frober and let's see who else. By the way, Andy Baldwin, I have a prize for you. I have a prize for Mr. Peabody and a prize for Dolly that are packaged up ready to go this week. But okay, the first track is that's it.
Doorman. Barry.
Thriller,
Wait,
Michael Jackson.
You have a 10-second advance over the other guys.
Oh, well, nobody told me that.
Andy Baldwin got a full point. He got both of those. Just ahead of Dolly. Yeah. And Brian Frober, sadly, pulling up third.
Disqualified.
Yes.
No, wait. No.
Disqualified, yes. All right.
No, you're not. I'm just kidding.
Yes. Okay, we're going to have a total of 13 tracks today in honor of Chiller.
Lucky 13.
Lucky 13. Here we go. Your next track. I don't know about that one. I don't think this was an A side. This wasn't even backed with on a single. I mean, it could have been, but I doubt it. Here we go.
Oh, Brian Fover.
It is Licensed Chill. It is Billy Ocean. Brian Frober got a half point. Dang it.
Mr. Peabody.
I hate that guy.
Half point.
Half point for both you chumps. You know, the only difference between chump and champ is you. All right, here we go. Here comes your next track.
Talk about a deep cut. Come on. I heard a siren, Brian. Could you please do the honors?
Not bad. Not Bob Marley. Not Bad Boys. Billy Mitchell theme song. That is pretty good guess, but no. Not UB40. Not Inner Circle. Not Chill. Oh, wait a minute. What was that? Chill Uhura. Black Uhuru. Mr. Peabody gets a half point.
Yes.
And it was Chill Out. He got both. He got a full point.
Full point.
Check that out. That's pretty good. That is a deep cut. Yeah, and that's the first time we played reggae, I think, ever on the show.
Sure.
Which is
it doesn't count when it's the walking on the ceiling guy, right? So
yeah. Right, exactly. Did we do Lionel Richie?
we probably yeah. You remember how he would sing in a reggae accent?
Oh, no, I don't, but I love Lionel Richie. Okay, so here comes one that you all might know. I'm gonna go a little bit further into this song, right? So there you go.
Oh, smart.
I got chills.
Chiller. Okay.
Yeah, man. Here they come. Geese is not correct. Andy Ballman, Olivia Newton-John is half correct. Yeah, I'm going to go with Yo Eddie for Grease.
Yep.
And it is Dolly Relford who gets the correct artist, Olivia Newton-John and John Travolta. That is correct. So that's a half point for both of them, and
Half
Dolly is on the board.
Oh, but who got You're the One I Want?
Oh, no, somebody said Grease. You're right. Nobody got the song. Except for Seabart got it. Is that right?
All right.
Nope, Mr. Peabody. Mr. Peabody got it. You're the One That I Want.
Okay, you got it.
And Andy Baldwin got One That I Want. No one got it actually correct. I think Andy Baldwin was the closest and the fastest. So Andy, Andy gets a half point.
Half point.
I don't know. Find it out. I don't care. All right, here comes your next song. This one might be a little more difficult. Maybe I'll skip to the middle of this one as well. Here we go. There is someone's close. Mr. Peabody knows it was from Troy Gibbs, Chili Down. Brian Frober, David Bowie is the writer, but it is actually not performed by him. So, but in lieu of some other artist. Yeah, it's actually performed. Oh. It's performed by the Fire Gang. But anyway, that was pretty close. Who do you want to give the points to, Mark?
Who said Bowie first?
Well, that would probably be Andy Baldwin, I think.
And I think Troy Gibbs had Chili down first.
Brian Frober.
Was it Frober?
Bowie first.
Wait, I'm confused. Who got what?
Who had David Bowie first? That's Brian still Frober. The question. Okay, done. Brian Fover moves forward to 1 point. And Troy Gibbs, I believe, got Chili down.
All right.
Is that what I'm saying?
Yep.
Okay,
All right.
good. Yes.
Can we figure it out?
Good.
All right, let's try this
That's
again.
a lot.
Boy, is anybody asleep yet? Okay, here comes the next track.
Show's over, folks.
There you go. They're all Shazamming. Well, I bet they are. Shameful. Lighter shade of pale. So we just have to play less of the song.
No, they
then.
can't be Shazamming because they're getting the song close.
Yeah. Well,
Troy got it.
who got it?
Troy got a whiter shade of pale.
Yep. Whiter shade of pale is correct. And who?
Billy Seven got the artist Procol. How'd you say that?
Here. Well, Boko Haram is close too. He
Okay.
must be using voice to text. Yeah. Boko Haram. Yoda did it. It is Procol Harum. The first person to actually type the whole thing out correctly was Mr. Peabody. Well, let's give it to Billy 7 because he's not on the board yet. Half point for Billy 7.
Oh, I see.
Oh, I see.
Next.
All right. 3 seconds.
Nice.
Shazam that shit if you can.
I'm sorry, I don't know that song.
It is Cold as Ice, Andy Baldwin. Foreigner, Dolly
gets
Ralph.
the artist.
All right. That's half point for Andy, half point for Dolly. Andy and Dolly are going to have like a fist fight here pretty soon.
So this next song, I actually was on stage while they performed this, standing with Bret Michaels.
What?
Yeah.
Why were you on the stage?
Why was this
stage, and I
band
said to Bret
with
Michaels,
Bret
my
Michaels?
friend would die if I took a picture with you. And he goes, well, let's take a picture. So we take this picture, and he's like, oh, this isn't good enough. So he like drags me out on stage while I'm performing Hazy Shade. Oops.
Oh my God.
Ah!
Hey, does anyone want to have Hazy Shade of Winter by the Bangles for free?
Damn it.
And he takes me out on stage,
Jesus.
and like he's like, this is a better picture. And I'm like,
Hey, I have a story how about Bret Michaels ruined the show. What a dick.
he ruined his own show.
I hate
Before or
Bret
after
Michaels.
He hit the garage door when he was walking out. Remember that one?
Hazy Shade of Fail is
Okay, we're gonna
correct.
skip past that
I'm going
one.
to give
Sorry, guys.
1 point to Brian Frober for
12
Hazy
songs.
Shade of Fail. All right.
No points.
Okay,
No points.
here's a tough one. You might have to Shazam it. Here we go. I'm going to play the middle two.
She don't ever eat. She's standing on the corner like she's on heat.
Nobody's going to get this. If somebody gets this, they get 2 points.
For the fail.
No. I can't believe you brought Bret Michaels into the show to talk about the Bengals. I kind of want to kick you in the nuts. All right, so Bret Michaels. Why were you even with Bret Michaels? That's just wrong. Ugh. That guy is like 17 shades of plastic surgery. Holy crap. Nobody knows it. It is not any of those guys. It's from a movie called The Fisher King. And
Classic Robin Williams.
Yep, and there's a song called Chill Out Jack that, Jeff Bridges plays because he's the shock jock. But anyway, the next track you'll probably get, it's a little newer. Now, if I play more, then they can Shazam it, right? So let's go to the middle and mess it up for them pretty good here.
I want to swim in.
Oh, Troy Gibbs, Annie Lennox. Nice. Good job, Troy. You're on the board. If you know what song it is, School Dance Slow Song. Nope, that is not it. Cold. Seabart on the board. Got some half points to hand out there. Troy Gibbs, I think, is probably at a point. Huh?
Yes, correct. 1.5.
Yeah.
He's tied with Mr. Peabody.
That woman has pipes, I'll tell you that. Okay, here comes the next track. Brian, do you have any anecdotes about how Bret Michaels could ruin this for us?
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
This could be any number of songs by this artist. He starts all of them out the same way. It is James Brown. Dolly's on the board with a half point. And it is Cold Sweat, Mr. Peabody. We're starting to suspect you're using some sort of shazamming.
Using his brain.
He's using his brain. Yes, he's quite good at using his brain. Right. So there's a half point for Dolly and a half point for Mr. Peabody.
Half point.
All right. Good job, you guys. That was Cold Sweat by James Brown. Where are we at with the points anyway? We got 2 left.
Mr. Peabody's in first place with 2 points. Dolly and Troy are tied with 1.5 points. And
How's
a lot
Andy
of people-
Baldwin not in the lead?
Andy and Brian are in third place. I don't know. Andy hasn't scored in a while. He's made attempts, though.
Okay. All right.
Excellent attempts, Andy.
All right. Here we go. Popcorn, hot tub. We just got people just throwing out stuff in there. Brown sweat. There is no
Brian
point.
Jones. Yeah.
All right. This next one I'm going to have to play a little bit further in. Otherwise, they're just going to get it. Right? So here we go.
Good one. That hits me right here. So good.
And we got
That is good.
Oh,
It is freeze frame. Andy Baldwin on the board again with a half point.
finally.
It is the Jay Quiles Band by Dolly Relford.
Nice, Dolly.
Yeah, that's close enough. She must have been using a voice to text or something. Okay, all right.
She's probably using a Scottish drunk accent.
Yeah.
Hello there.
All right, this next song's a little out of place because we definitely have a theme here with Thriller, License to Chill, Chill Out, You're the One That I Want. I've got Chills, They're Multiplying, Chilly Down, Whiter Shade of Pale from the Big Chill, Cold as Ice by Foreigner, Hazy Shade of Winter by the Bangles, but sorry, that was good to no one. It wasn't Stranger Things, which also gives you the chills, and Chill Out Jack by Trip from the Fisher King, Cold by Annie Lennox, Cold Sweat by James Brown, and the next track, which is, we did Freeze Frame by Jay Giles. The last track is this track, which many of you are going to recognize right out of the gate, but I don't know. Whenever I hear this, it gives me a little bit of the chills. So let's see how this goes here. I'm gonna require specificity on the title. Here we go. Troy Gibbs gets the Eagles. Andy Baldwin is correct mostly, but I am gonna require specificity. Yeah, and he got it. Live version. Okay, so that is it. Half point for those fellas. And where are we at with the points? Oh, I didn't give away prizes.
So Troy, Andy Baldwin got the other half?
Sure.
Troy Gibbs and Andy?
Yep.
You're going to love it. A 4-way tie for first place.
No way. You got to be kidding me.
You gotta play the song you skipped now.
Oh, my God.
So what you're saying is that Brian ruined it by giving up that one song.
Completely.
Possibly, yes.
Bret Michaels ruined the show.
All right. Thanks, Bret Michaels. Again. All right. I'm going to play a little bit of this track, and you guys can tell me who it is. Somebody's got to break the tie here. Here it comes. Get ready. I'm only playing it once.
Salt and pepper.
You are incorrect. It is not the Bengals.
You're not even in the tie.
Hey, who's 8-Bit Monk? This is great. Original Purple Harem, Hazy Shade of Winter, 8-Bit Monk.
Andy Baldwin is the first one in the first place tie to get it.
And Mr. Peabody got Simon and Garfunkel. With the Uncle Garfunkel. So does that put them in the tie lead now?
Yes, Mr. Peabody and Andy now are tied for first.
This is dumb. Who invented this show anyway?
Ah.
All right, I'm going to play a song that has nothing to do with Jills. And then this can be between Andy and Mr. Peabody. Ready?
So we will ignore all other answers. If you just want to give it to Andy and Mr. Peabody, feel free.
Yeah, all right. Let's see.
You got to play a Bret Michaels song.
Death match. What the hell?
This show makes me feel stupid, she says.
Andy Baldwin gets it.
BNL, if I had $1 million, is correct. That's in honor of our Canadians on the show tonight.
It's actually one of the best shows I've ever seen live.
Those
guys
those
put on
guys.
a hell of a show.
Yeah.
Ooh, Bret Michaels?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Bare Naked Ladies.
Bare Naked Ladies.
Yeah. You know, they don't even show up naked, which is very
Not
disappointed
ladies
by that.
either.
Yeah, it's very
Belly
odd.
shirts only.
All right, so who won what anyway?
Andy Baldwin first place, 3.5. Mr. Peabody second place with 2.5, and Dolly and Troy in third place tied.
That's too many ties. We're gonna have to draw names. I'll tell you what. We'll draw names after the show. What?
There's one tie. One tie.
Only one tie.
We have another tie?
No, it's 4
Third
prizes.
place.
Cough it up, big guy.
What? You're talking about 4 prizes? I'm not made of money here. I have 2 subscribers on Patreon.
Not paying out like we thought it would.
We can send out incorrectly made Geo7 neckboard coasters.
All right, I'm gonna do a drawback. Okay.
Is that what that is? What's wrong with it?
Holy crap! We're 12
made
minutes.
these out of aluminum, which was kind of cool.
Who was first place?
They didn't isolate the electrical circuit.
All right, shut up, Brian.
no.
I want to get these prizes taken care of. Who's first place?
The big ground plane.
Yeah.
Who's first place?
Andy Baldwin.
All right, here's the draw bag. Pick a number between. Never mind. All right, Andy Baldwin is winning a Mortal Kombat pin. Congratulations. All right, second place.
Mr. Peabody.
Gauntlet pin.
Please.
All right. Third place. Part
Dolly
1.
and Troy.
Okay. Third place, part 1 is a Pong pin.
Dang it, I want one of those one day.
Wait,
nice.
You should send Dolly.
Did I
another
already give
one of
this
the
away?
shirts.
Did I give this away last week?
I don't know. I don't have those show notes open.
Crap. Okay,
Don't
I'm
give
not
my
giving.
magnet away. I think you did.
I'm not giving the Pong thing away. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
And the Space Invaders needs to go to Brian Frober, who is disqualified. Man, prizes are. Okay.
Dolly says, I don't want no stupid arcade-ish anyway. I don't live in my mama's basement.
All right.
Dolly
I'm going to send Dolly this R2D2 patch.
Yes.
All
Nice.
right. So, can go with the shirts that I'm sending her. I'm sending her like one of every size. Okay, and then this third place prize, Jungle King magnet.
Oh, nice.
Who got that?
Troy Gibbs.
Troy, welcome to the show. I know you've been here before, but you get a nice joy. These are really nice. You're gonna like this. You can put it on your fridge. Put your homework on the fridge. You know, stuff
2
like.
hours later, let's. And we thank you for playing What's in the Juke.
Yeah.
What's in the juke?
All right.
Just kidding.
Let's do it again. No. Do we have any voicemail?
Dolly Relford wants the R2D2 bikini.
Oh.
Oh.
Sorry, I got that one.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
I'm wearing it. I'm wearing all of it.
Tonight is a night that will live in infamy. Chimpanzee.
Are you having trout mubbles?
Oh.
Thank you for calling 612-548-GAME. This is Arcade Radio. Please leave your message after the tone.
Hello, this is a prepaid collect call from
RCDE, control panel expert and technician.
an inmate at Florida Correctional Institution. This call is subject to recording and monitoring. To accept charges, press 1. Thank you for using T-Netics. You may start the conversation now.
Hey guys, thanks for accepting
hello.
the charges.
This is
Do you remember
Prison
last
Warden
week
Hall of
when I
Sodas
sword
again.
fighting
What's
with my fellow
I left this
inmates?
message on next
Well,
door, but I
Warden
figured I'd
got-
call you also.
What is happening?
Stop giving inmate Zarzadik airtime, please.
Whoa.
He's taking time away from his fudge packing. We
What?
have deadlines
Hang on
to
a
meet.
second.
So, stop it. Stop it.
It's both,
I'm
both
serious.
calls at the same time.
How? What the heck just happened?
Hi, Arcade Radio. It's me, Arnold. I'm calling you from my house. I wanted to talk to you guys. I want to tell you you need to keep up the show. It's going very great. Every time I...
What happened? What just happened?
What happened?
Hey Brian, you told me this was a professional show.
It's a fail. We do the little cartoon art.
Well, that was fun. Should we do it again? Just for posterity's sake?
Sure. The one at a time, maybe?
Sure.
Hello, this is a prepaid collect call from
RCDE, control panel expert and technician.
an inmate at Florida Correctional Institution. This call is subject to recording and monitoring. To accept charges, press 1. Thank you for using T-Netics. You may start the conversation now.
Hey guys, thanks for accepting the charges. Hey, remember last week when I was sword fighting with my fellow inmates? Well, Warden got wind of it all and he's put a stop to it. Yeah, as a replacement hobby, they're making us all dessert chefs. And at first I was like, I don't like the sun, and it's hot in the desert. And then they were explaining to me that they meant sweet treats. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm into them sweet treats. Everyone here thinks it's great. You can hear them enjoying it in the background, right? Yeah, we do it in an assembly line. It's really cool because I only have to deal with like the finished product. I'm in charge with packing each dessert into a goodie bag. And this week we're making fudge. It's awesome. I guess my official job title is fudge packer this week. Yep, I sure do love to pack that fudge. Good job, prison. Give me something to do with my idle hands. Well, you guys have a great show with that Canadian dude you're having on whose name I don't know. I didn't pay attention to the name because I've been so busy packing fudge. You guys, thanks for taking my call. Zarzadik out. Hey, don't lick that. You don't know where that fits.
And the follow-up call.
Hello. This is Prison Warden Hall of Sodas again. I left this message on next door, but I figured I'd call you also. Stop giving inmate Zarzadik airtime, please. It's taking time away from his fudge packing. We have deadlines to meet. So, stop it. Stop it. I'm serious.
Hi, Arcade Radio. It's me, Arnold. I'm calling you from my house. I wanted to talk to you guys. I want to tell you you need to keep up the show. It's going very great. Every time I listen to it, it keeps me coming back for more every time. I'll talk to you later.
I can't wait to edit this for podcast.
Who is that? That was hilarious.
It's the Scottish guy's cousin.
Arnold.
Nice.
I think we need to get to our guest before he runs away.
Was it? So remember how I said that my family wasn't going to watch? Well,
they're here.
They're watching.
Oh, no.
So my stepson Sam is on, and he's watching. So thanks for that, guys. I have to.
Hello, Sam.
I have to explain a bunch of shit.
It's like, what is happening here right now?
Fudge, you take sugar.
Oh boy. This is the time when we welcome our interview person to the interview floor for the interview part of the show. Thank you for coming to this show, and we are going to interview you now, Sir Barry of Calgary.
Calgarian.
Calgarians.
It's Calgarian.
Welcome.
Welcome to the
Thank
show.
you.
Barry, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself? Like, what do you do for a living? Why did you come on this show in the first place? Or the last place?
Sure. Are you gonna let me talk?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Right now, you can start anytime you want.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. And if you start like right now, we could probably finish before the end.
If you talk loud,
Before the
you'll
end.
not be able to. Yeah.
All right.
Go.
Are we done?
Yeah, we're done.
Oh, sure. Do we need Arnold to come back?
Dolly says Barry lost a bet.
Thanks. Yeah, you figured it out. Friggin' lost the bet. I used to have a friend on this podcast, Brian, but I don't have that friend anymore.
That's the bet he lost.
That's the bet I lost, yes.
That's hilarious.
So I live in Seattle. I work for one of the cloud companies here in Seattle. So I'm a geek, have been pretty much my whole life. And spare time, I just do electronic shit. So
Yeah.
you can tell behind me. So that's kind of it.
So this is your workshop that we're looking at right now.
It is. It's luckily I built one before the virus hit.
Oh yeah.
So I actually have a place. But yeah, it's not quite finished. As you can see, I don't have drywall up yet, but.
So D. Norman and Sam Sims say, "Poor Barry, poor Barry."
Yeah, Sam Sims would be my stepson.
Okay, Sam, thanks for jumping on the chat tonight.
It's a shed.
It is not a shed.
It is not a shed. It's a shed.
Hold on a second, guys. I gotta turn off Sam's internet. Just stand by.
It is not a shed. Okay, well, walk us through your workbench a little bit here. What do you got going on in the background? I see a Star Trek and yeah.
Well, so we can talk a little bit about some of the projects, but you can see the Space Duel I just used for testing some of my kits. You can see over here I've got like this monitor here. There's a old DOS computer that I'm building for somebody right now that's going to run ZVG. So that's a sector board. There's a scope here because I do a bunch of surface mount components. And then there's a couple of 3D printers behind me and whatnot.
Mr. Peabody wants to know if it's a she shed.
It is. It is. Well, so the commercial. This is kind of funny. The commercial where the she shed is on fire.
The she shed, the slee stack,
and the wife, the husband has got the little hose, and the wife is putting out the shed. The wife's name is Cheryl. My wife's name is Cheryl. So that's kind of the joke to this. But it is a he shed. So
he said,
workshop.
she said.
It has heat. It has heat. It has electricity. So it's a workshop.
So tell us, you mentioned these kits. We can kind of skip ahead and then go back and hit some of the things that get into this. But I said we'd go over products again. What are these kits you're talking about?
So it is. I have one here somewhere. It is actually a kit that allows you to take a CRT, raster CRT or an old TV, 19-inch, 25-inch, and convert it to a vector monitor. So it is a clone of an Amplifone-based deflection board. The kit comes with a deflection board, the high voltage board, neck board, all the harnesses, The only thing you need is to rewind a yoke, although I do have some of those as well. And you literally take a TV and make it into a vector monitor. I don't know if you can see, there's a little tiny one down here. So that's a 9-inch Amplifone compatible vector monitor. And that's like the deflection board here. So that's the kit. There's other things I'm working on that are going to come out as well, mostly vector related, because that's really what it's kind of my passion, are vector games.
So you there's a couple of guys that have played around with this. Your kit's a little bit different. Like, what did you focus on? You kind of took a base level kit they were working on and you did some things with it, right? I mean, so there's a lot of finicky things originally.
There are. So the original one, you had to do a lot of manual work. You had to create your own harnesses. You had to kind of dial things in. For the neck board, you had to get one of the CR connectors and hand wire it. What I did is, if I can find it, I created, here we go. So, I don't know if you can see that. So I created a full neck board. So you literally, the only thing you need is you need the 15 pin connector from an Atari, and you plug into it and it'll just fire up that monitor. I am working on a prototype right now. Don't know if it'll work, but it's right here. It is a G08 version. So it'll allow you to take a Sega G, if it all works, a Sega G80 vector game and plug it into an Amplifone or 6100 type monitor.
But why would you get rid of the ability to roast marshmallows while you're playing your arcade games? I mean, do you not like marshmallows?
I hate marshmallows. I do not like marshmallows.
That carbon's bad for you.
I don't like marshmallows either. Whenever we have s'mores, I just eat the chocolate and graham crackers.
Well, so okay, so I'm Canadian and I don't get the whole Hershey's chocolate. Like, why is your chocolate like the worst tasting crap ever? Like,
what?
Because he's used to Cadbury.
Well, yeah, Cadbury's good chocolate, but what is like Hershey's taste like I don't know, like
wax,
metal, wax. That's exactly.
Yeah, well, it is milk chocolate.
No, it's not.
It's a chalky wax chocolate.
Kind of, but we're getting off.
Milk chocolate food.
But tell us about your milk chocolate experiences.
Mark, is that your question? That's the one question you have out of all the questions?
When was the first time you had chocolate?
When I was 7. When I was 3, my dad was doing this crane game over a bathtub full of chocolate,
and does Bob Zarzadek know about your chocolate edition?
Probably.
Dan Watkins says you need to talk to Arcade Jason. Like instead of every day, 2 or 3 times a day.
So remember those yolks that I said? Jason makes those for me. So yeah, I work closely with Jason.
So the way that I know Barry is through a lot of like history and other guys that we know together. But Barry and I and Jason talk on a fairly regular basis now. Yeah.
And much. So like I started, if you go back on KLOV like 7, 8, 9 years ago, I built one of the first. Well, I was one of the first people to get a ZVG multi-vector going. I worked with a guy by the name of Chad of the UK to build a new menu for it. He did most of the work, but I kind of gave him. I was a PM, so I kind of gave him specs. And I built a custom control panel that I then sent to Take Man, who reproduced the panels. And I had Rich from this whole game create glass marquees as well as control panel overlays, which I'm planning on rerunning, to convert Space Duel to multi-vector. So that's really when I got into vectors. And I'm probably going to be bringing some of the, like I said, the art back for that.
Cool.
So what got you into arcade games in the first place? Like, I mean, you liked vectors then, but...
Well, so I mean, I'm a child of the 80s, so I mean, arcade games were kind of everything that we did. You know, go to the 7-Eleven. There was a Star Wars arcade game at the 7-Elevens. And then I was actually thinking, when you guys talked to me today, I was thinking about like what the first experience was. And I'll be honest, I'm too old and I can't remember what I had for breakfast, let alone how I got into arcade games. But I do kind of remember that I went to a local show, and there's a bunch of arcade games there. And I was talking to somebody who was one of the collectors, and I just kind of had this like realization that, wait, I could own one of these. And so I don't even remember which one I picked up first. It was probably like a shitty Pac-Man or something like that, or Miss Pac-Man. And that was kind of how I got into it, probably like a lot of people. I remembered it as a kid. All of a sudden, I could buy one. This was before they were going for $4.5 million a machine. Because it's funny, because when I got divorced, I sold a bunch of my machines, and I got away from the as Brian knows, I got away from the hobby for probably 5 or 6 years. And then when I came back, I went, they cost how much now? But, you know, and I won't tell you about some of the things that I sold, because it makes me cry now, but I know.
What did you sell?
Thanks for asking. I got a 25-inch Amplifone Star Wars cockpit for free that I sold. I had ice cold beer, Cuber, Tron. I mean, kind of all the normal games, right? And got rid of all of them. The only thing I'd kept is I'd built a virtual pinball way back when, and I carried that around with me for about 6 years until I realized that it was so old that I would have to build a new one, and I just took it apart. My last move, I just took it apart.
So, have you rebuilt your collection in some ways?
In some ways, I have my shed is small, so I've kind of narrowed it down. I have 3 machines in here. I have 4 more in storage that will end up moving in here when I finish the drywall and the floor and whatnot. But probably gonna stick with that collection, probably like 6 or 7 machines.
Nice. All Vector?
All but Galaga.
Okay.
I'm building a Galaga from the ground up. I have the new cabinet. I got all the parts. Family and I were on vacation, and then in the Airbnb, they had a Galaga Miss Pac-Man reunion cap. And so when we got back, my wife gave me a task to get a Galaga.
Oh, nice. So the Galaga that you're going to build, is it going to use original hardware or reunion hardware or what?
It's all original hardware.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. Like the cabinet is made out of plywood. It's really nicely built. Local guy built it. He's actually building my Star Wars cabinet as well. I bought a Star Wars cabinet that was it was ratcheted onto a truck, and the guy kept ratcheting it until it snapped down the middle. So I ended up getting it for fairly cheap. It didn't have a monitor, but I can build those. So
you know a guy.
I know a guy. And so I took the Star Wars, dropped it at the guy who built the Galaga. He's actually, this weekend, he's picking up the wood to build me a Star Wars cabinet. So the Star Wars will be brand new from original parts as well.
Nice.
So I know you did like a Pac-Man kit at one time.
Well, the multi, yes.
The multi. What was on that multi?
It had 8 different games. So it had a Pac-Man Fast Slow.
Yep.
Puckman Fast Slow.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Oh, sorry, no, Pac-Man Plus Fast Slow.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Pac-Man Fast Slow. And then there was like Puckman, which was the Japanese version, and there was one other one that I don't remember. We were working, me and another guy worked on Otto, actually trying to do a ROM with the original Otto character.
Mm-hmm.
I found out years later that he had finished it while I was kind of gone, which is kind of cool. But yeah, I forgot about that. I sold like 120 of those kits.
But not Brendan Parker. Was it another guy?
I don't remember. I'd have to look.
Sure.
Well, Brandon just probably graduated from high school like this
Yeah.
year, so
yeah, it's true.
So probably not.
No, yeah.
And
Okay,
actually,
well,
I
that
think he
excludes-
did it completely on his own, but he had input from the original programmers on how it looked. So
It would be neat to see those.
yeah, there's actually the one that you worked on might actually be the available downloadable ROM.
Probably.
So, and I think it's based on a Miss Pac-Man clone.
It is.
Yeah.
Yep. The one.
So, yeah, those are cool. And Brendan did the same thing. He based his on the clone as well. It must be easier to hack that one. I don't know.
I think there was a better disassembly code for that one.
Okay.
Because I remember getting into Z80 assembler.
Yeah.
Which still hurts my head, but I have the code. I actually have that code somewhere. So
that's cool. And so, other projects you've done in the past, you did the Vector project, you did the Pac-Man project, and now what's your latest project that you're working on?
So I'm working on drop-in replacements for the Wells Gardner 6100.
Okay, so what does that look like?
I don't have one here. I'm just ordering the parts. So
hypothetically,
it would look it's a drop-in replacement. So if you were to grab a 6100 deflection board, high voltage board, neck board, it would look just like that, except it, if you have a 6100 and you go through some of the documentation online that tells you how to make it bulletproof, all of that has been integrated. The LV2000 circuit has been integrated into it. So the whole idea is if you've got a 6100 that's not working, you can just get this, drop it in, and it just plug and play.
Nice. So this is like one of the things that's kind of fun here is like we've been talking about this. I've been doing these boards, which happen to be right here, the high voltage replacements for people who want to repair their old stuff or have like a hole in a board because you keep it in emphases. But guys like Barry are doing the full new board set to replace it. So once you get frustrated with trying to get yours working, you do a drop-in that just replaces your old one. So there's kind of like all the options on the market are really kind of a fun thing. Stick with the original, and then go all the way up to a new enhanced version.
Yeah. So as an example, the board that Brian held up was kind of the blank, right? And you would take an existing 6100 high voltage board, you solder the components and solder them on the new board. The way that my boards come is, so this is a deflection, this is a high voltage board for my kit. So it comes fully populated, fully tuned. So you literally plug it into your existing cabinet and it would just work. So you don't have to do anything.
Wow.
So what are some of the, the board you showed before, I mean, you kind of like, you breezed through it. You said, you just plug it in, you connect the connectors, but like there was a heat sink and fans on there and stuff.
Fans,
I mean, you aren't
cool.
just, yeah.
Well, I have fans on here because they're cool. No, so the fans actually, Jason's idea, believe it or not, Arcade Jason. So these transistors, they produce quite a bit of heat. And if you look at, I think I have a, hold on, let me grab one. I have a deflection board. So this is,
oh my God.
So this is an ampliphone deflection board, right? And this is my version of it, right? So it's quite a bit smaller, and mine uses mostly surface mount. There's 81 surface mount components on it, and so you can see the heatsink on these guys are pretty massive. I wanted smaller heat sinks. The first version had a large heatsink, but these ones I've got 12 volts running on my high voltage board, so I figured why not run some CPU fans. So I purchased, believe it or not, 230 of these fans and CPUs. And so I found a guy on eBay that had it. I made him an offer, and next thing I knew, I had 261 of these fans, which means that I have to sell a shit ton of these to get rid of the fans.
At least
But it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, 130 kits. I bought 200 deflection boards because from a cost perspective, it didn't make sense. Like, I think it was $250 more to buy 200 deflection boards than buying 100 deflection boards.
Yeah, I love the bulk differences.
Yeah,
it was insane. Obviously, the boards that I got them populated in China, so that I don't have to do 81 surface mount components on each one of these.
Yeah.
As you can tell, I have fat little fingers, so it just wouldn't work. I do all the through hole, and believe it or not, I had my oldest son owed me money, so I had him do all the fans for me.
Wow.
Because the fans come with on the back, they all have the thermal paste. And after doing 2 of them and coming home looking like the Tin Man because I was covered in gray paste, I just went to my son, "You owe me money, do this shit." So,
there you go.
Yeah, it worked. So that's pretty much where it's at.
I've now learned I have to make my son owe me money so I can make him do stuff.
Well, if your son is young enough that you can still make him do stuff because he wants to buy stuff. But at some point when your son moves out, you got.
He has his credit cards.
He's at that age where he's starting to push back. Do this. Why? No, that's not a question. It's not part of the conversation. When did that come up?
Yeah, the day they start talking back, right?
Yeah, it's like, oh gosh. So one of the things that I think is really neat about these kits is the ability to take. I mean, you kind of blew through it, but you're taking a monitor, like a normal CRT. So you go and get these CRTs, you can just crack a TV tube.
Yeah.
Like you can find a tube sitting on the side of the road and make a vector out of it. So you've got a 9-inch back there.
Yeah.
What's the biggest vector that you can do?
I've tested them with 25-inch. So I've done a 25-inch vector, but let me grab this one. So this is this guy here. So that is a vector monitor. And all I did is I bought a 9-inch TV. I think I have, let me rotate my monitor so you can see it. I got like 3 more up there. As I dump everything in front of me. So thanks guys. Now I have to clean my shit. Probably a good thing. So yeah, it's literally a TV. I've gone to a bunch of the Salvation Army, those kind of places, found old TVs, recycle places, found old TVs. There's I had a standing order with one of the recycle places that every time they find a 19-inch non-Trinitron TV, they would just give me a call.
Damn you, Sony, with your flat screen bullshit.
Yeah,
I know.
So why not a Trinitron?
So the Trinitron does things very differently. Like they're different resolution. They have the way they do focus is different. It just won't work. So you need a regular CRT. If it's got a bit of a curve on it, that's all you need. And then pretty much all of them have the same neck board, or the 9 pins,
socket.
The same socket. So it's fairly straightforward.
So the 6100s had a different tube degree than most of these, but you don't require, so you can just use a regular, like, so the Ampliphones used a 90 degree, right? And the 6100 used a 100 degree?
Yep.
So these will work.
These will work with the regular TVs. So they don't need, if you look at your Tempest, if you switch your Tempest back there to Major Havoc,
I can do that.
You'll see that the problem with the 6100. So what happened is when
started the game, and it's down. Oh wait.
Oh, you can see it there too.
Omega rays.
You can kind of see that the straight lines are not straight; they're curved. It's called pin cushioning. So Star Wars and Major Havoc were created with an Apple phone in mind, right? So when the Apple phone monitor came out, it looked wonderful. The 6100, because it's got an extra 10 degrees, to get to the corners, the lines are not straight. So what a lot of the later games, if you look at Space Duel, you look at Tempest, the reason they don't do it is they actually have a pincushion correction circuit, which flattens those lines. And so if you've ever taken a Major Havoc, and most Major Havocs were conversion kits for Space Duel for Tempest, they had a daughter board that you had to plug into it. That daughter board, for the most part, is just the pin cushion correction circuit, right? So it fixed it so it works in a 6100 monitor. And that's why Star Wars doesn't have it and Major Havoc don't have it. And because they were designed for an Ampliphone in mind. And then when Ampliphone went to shit, because, I mean, there's long stories about it. If you actually read the story, it's kind of fascinating. They had to go to a different vector monitor, and they went to the 6100. The amazing thing for me is if you look at a 6100, if you go to Tempest, you're like, wow, this monitor looks great. Then you look at a Star Wars running on an Ampliphone, and it's just no comparison. It's such a better monitor. So it's unfortunate that happened. But that's also why this kit is modeled after the Ampliphone circuits rather than the 6100 circuits, because it's closer to Ampliphone.
Nice. It is one of the frustrating things, and my understanding is that because this is FPGA, he actually did like a correction in the code or in the board or something when he released this new version. And so once this new version comes out, I've got to get in touch with him and swap this one out so I can have straight lines.
You're going to sell that old one too?
Well, no,
he swaps it out for you.
Yeah, you got to send it back to him. He has control.
Well, because he just sends you a new board. The FPGA is the same. So you use the same FPGA. Yeah. Which is where a lot of the cost is. Yeah.
Sweet.
But I talked to him. I don't think it's going to be that expensive. You've already bought one. It's going to be fairly straightforward, I think.
Yeah. Well, the add-on board on here, if you haven't seen it, well, I know you have, Barry, but for those of you in the chat who haven't seen it, it's, probably a 2-inch wide and like 7-inch long.
It's like this big.
Yeah.
It's tiny.
And actually, it fits into it's wide, though. It fits into the Tempest slot, so which is really nice. It kind of like slots in and holds everything in place. So, and you don't have to, it actually does all the power conversion. So the FPGA is powered off of the harness, which is nice and convenient. So, anyways.
So, hey, I don't know if you saw, did you see the photo that we were using for an advertisement?
Yeah.
Billy Evans asking, he's asking, I've been listening while using power tools. I'm so sorry if you've already covered it. What's the significance of the old photo used for this broadcast?
The significance. Adam is a dick.
Hey.
No, so
what?
I chatted with Adam this morning, and he goes, I'm just gonna go on Facebook and I'm gonna pick one of your pictures and I'll put it up there. And,
what?
And that's the one he picked. So.
Sorry, I had to let the dog out.
Ooh,
yeah.
Anyways,
that's funny. That's an awesome picture.
Yeah, and there was actually a conversation. I'm like, really? That's the one you picked? Like
right.
Of all the pictures, that's the one you picked?
And then, jeez.
Adam, for our podcasters out there who won't be able to see this, what could you describe that photo? Or?
Oh yeah, so it is.
Podcast listeners.
So I, without knowing anything about it, I was just going through some of his photos, and he posted this thing, and there was a flurry of his friends that lit up with joy when they saw his picture. And there's, basically 6 young men and a teacher, it looks like. And I thought, what is this?
Mr. Fody.
Yeah, Mr. Fody. And I thought, is this the Computer Hackers Club? Or is this the chess club? And, it turned out to be the photography club. So
just as geeky.
Yeah, so that's pretty funny. And if you get a chance to see the photo on YouTube, arcaderadio.live, when it posts, you'll see Barry is the student closest to the teacher in the photo. Okay. So anyway, it's a very fun classic photo, circa 1985-86. and lots of nerdy glasses that are outdated. Probably got them 2 or 3 years prior.
And the funny thing is, of the 6 people on there,
yeah,
4 of them are still Facebook friends.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
After that.
So,
well, they were. They just unfriended me, I think.
Oh, that's nice.
So you're doing all these vector kits. You've got a couple of games back there. You've got a few more you're moving in. Are there any vector games that you're looking for? What are you going like? Gosh, if I could find.
I mean, I miss my Major Havoc. I had a dedicated Major Havoc, so I missed that. Not expecting to have a dedicated one, but one of these days I'll hopefully have a either one of Scott's kits, or ideally I'll have a Major Havoc board that I can swap in.
So have you played Scott's kit on a Tempest?
I have seen it. I have not played it.
So I will say, I mean, and I've really kind of promoted this kit a lot. He dialed this in. I mean, it plays amazingly well with the spinner. I mean, it really, like, this is one of my favorite playing versions of Major Havoc. And I have it dedicated out in the shop. This one, I actually it's fun. I mean, I really enjoy it this way. So I've told everybody, if you have a Tempest, you got to buy this kit.
Except for the fact that the monitor is rotated doesn't bother you?
No, it doesn't really affect it at all. Now, given I didn't have that experience as a child, so it's not like a nostalgia thing for me playing Major Havoc. It's a new game for me as an adult, so I don't have that like throwback to this is what it was like. But no, it plays great. I've really enjoyed it on here. The only thing that bothers me is the curve, and he solved that.
That was a solution. How much was that? Is there a cost to the upgrade for that when you swap out the boards?
I don't think he gave what the exact cost was.
No. When I've talked to him, there's going to be a cost. He's going to price it from, and don't quote me on this, because at the end of the day, he's going to do what he needs to do to justify it. But his plan was to price it such that anyone who bought a kit it'd be cheap enough that it would just replace it.
Yeah.
They would get the upgrade. So it was pretty much going to be cost, from what I understand, of the replacement PCB.
Yeah.
Thank you. Daniel Watkins was asking that question.
Yeah, because it's $700 or $750 for the kit, and the add-on board. I mean, most of what you're paying for is the development cost. I mean, the D10 Nano is $200, $150.
Yeah, probably about $150.
And my guess is, and I don't know any of this is a fact, so don't quote me and go tell Scott he's a jerk or whatever, but the add-on board's probably about a $50 add-on, but he has years of his life invested into doing this. I mean, it's unbelievable how much time he spent on this. And this is one of the things that people in this hobby sell their time too cheap. And I would say he's probably even selling it for like pennies on the hour doing this, but it's completely reasonable what he's put together here.
And I mean, I've had discussion with him where he's told me point blank that I charge too little for my kits. Right, and he's probably right. But
can I pre-order some of your kits right now, please?
What's that?
Can I pre-order some of your kits right now, please?
Yeah, me too. I'm PayPaling you right now.
Absolutely,
okay.
Absolutely. First run is sold out. Almost sold out through the second run. There'll definitely be a third. Yeah. I mean,
so here's a question for you.
Yeah.
I have, I don't know, 5 vector machines. How many do I have? I have Tempest, Star Wars, both running on 6100s.
You got rid of Star Trek?
I have Star Trek, but it's in storage, so it's out of commission.
It doesn't count as a real game that you own. Okay.
Well, I guess if he's going to do a GO8 version, maybe I'll get that.
Right.
Yeah. You have Asteroids Deluxe.
I have Asteroids Deluxe, but it's a cocktail.
But it needs a color board, and then it needs one of Barry's kits, and then it needs to go back together.
All right, so there's that. Anyway, and Omega Rays. Omega. Do I have another? I have another one. I think I'm missing one. Anyway, I don't have a lot, but like let's just say I have 2 Atari games, 6100s. What would you? So, and I already rebuilt the 6100 chassis. Who's your target audience? Like, do I want one of these as a backup?
So, what you'll probably want is when I bring out the 6100 version, you'll probably want that as a backup.
Okay.
Right. There's a bunch of people. I've sold a bunch of these to Europe because they're really hard to find in Europe.
Okay.
And there's a bunch of places where the 6100s, cost $700-800 for a 6100 monitor.
Yeah, it is really expensive. I actually have a third monitor that one of Brian's guys did for me. So I'm in good shape where 6100s are concerned. But what I'm really interested in is that, and I don't know if you talked about this while I was out with the dog, but that pin cushion board for the 6100.
Yeah, so I haven't quite figured out what I'm going to do with that yet. If I'm going to release a standalone board, I am thinking of actually making that an option on the boards that I do sell. So you'll be able to, let's say I've released the board and it has this option. You would buy the deflection board and you would say, I want it with pin cushion correction or without, or potentially I'll make it switchable. And then so if you drop it into a Star Wars, you turn on the pin cushion correction circuit, you get the nice picture. You transfer that into a Tempest, you turn that circuit off.
Go
ahead.
No, I'm riffing. So you go and then I'll go.
And so, I know that these kits have been put out in the past, and if nobody releases them, I'll release them. They're not. It's not a difficult circuit. It's a couple of chips with some capacitors and some resistors. Fairly straightforward circuit.
Mm-hmm.
But it makes a big difference. And like I said, most of the games, or all the Atari games, I should say, after Star Wars Major Havoc, have that on the PCB. Right? So Space Duel, Tempest, Black Widow, Gravatar, all have that built onto the PCB.
Sure.
So you don't need it. And there's a couple of potentiometers to control the XY sizes and
sure
how much you correct and stuff.
I'm kind of curious because a couple of, we won't have the answer to this here, but it's just kind of curiosity. A couple of weren't the early Gravatars, there was a couple that were done with Amplifone tubes?
There were, but I think Gravatar came out right when the whole fiasco with Amplifone happened. Okay. So they switched to it very quickly.
I'm wondering if the pin cushion is on those. That's why I was just. If the pin cushion's on the board, I'm wondering if there's already a correction, or if you can dial it out, or that'd be interesting.
It would be. I don't have a Gravatar board, so I don't know.
What was the fiasco for some of our listeners who aren't familiar with it?
So, and it's actually a really good story. It's an interesting story. So what happened was, Amplifone was building all of these monitors, and they were building the flybacks, and the factory where it was being built in had a fire, and the sprinkler systems went off. And so instead of destroying the wire and all the material to create the flybacks, they dried it out and then still used it, and it wasn't fully dried out. So when they released these monitors, they started dying, and there was no replacement for them. So Atari went to Wells Gardner and said, build us a vector monitor. And they built the 6100, which is, like I said, not a great monitor. You compare it to the G08, the G08 is a much better monitor. You compare it to Amplifone, Amplifone's a much better monitor.
Except for the fact that the 6100 may have been slightly more stable than a G08.
That is true.
Not as pretty. And actually, this leads into my question that I had earlier. When you play Star Wars on an Amplifone, there are details that show up that do not show up on the 6100.
Correct.
So, like when you fly into the Death Star and it says, "May the Force be with you" on the side of the Death Star, that doesn't show up on the 6100.
What?
It does, but it's just
you can't really see it.
Right.
You can't really see
I'm gonna have to.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the Billy Seven asked if there's a place to read this story. I think if you search there's a couple of Amplifone fact, like FAQ pages that have some of these stories, and the flyback on those Ampliphones was affectionately referred to as the dead red.
Yeah.
Because you'd see these Ampliphones, and they'd have these big red flybacks, and they were always dead. And then it was Wintron did a replacement, correct?
Yeah.
And those were the ones. So if you picked up one of these games, I don't know, like 15, 20 years ago, you were looking for the ones with the Wintrons, because the Wintrons became unavailable for a certain amount of time before all these new flybacks were done. So.
Yeah, and that 25 inch cockpit that I had, it had a working red flyback.
Wow. Nice.
Because it was an early one before the fire.
Interesting. That is interesting. And I always wondered why they, and I always thought, was Amplifone in business because Atari contracted them, and then when they broke the contract, is that how they went out of business? Or
I don't recall the story. I thought, and Brian, you may know this, I thought that Atari either had a relationship with them or acquired them at one point. I'd have to look into it. It's been a long time since I read the story.
I don't remember the whole breakdown of those two. I mean, I know that it was a real headache for Atari early on, and like the whole way that those companies were related. It was like this whole like, hey, look, we're gonna do this great thing, and then that did not work the way anybody intended it to.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a lot of stories. I think it's there's a thing by Michael Kelly that's out there. It's like a Amplifone Vector FAQ, and it has a lot of the information. It also has a lot of the repair logs, how to fix the Ampliphones, and how to do that. So.
Yeah, I'm just looking up.
Nah.
Find it here.
Nah. Sorry. Sorry. Sorry.
Solomon Grundy smash.
Hulk smash. Sorry.
I almost brought some ketchup potato chips just to crunch on them during the show.
That'd have been good.
That's funny.
Damn you.
Little Canadian humor. Actually, I did find some potato chips that taste like hot ketchup potato chips that are available in the U.S.
Well, apparently you can now get ketchup in chips in the States, but I have not seen any.
I don't
know.
Well, true. Well, so here's my wife and I don't fight very often, but if we do, it's over Twizzlers and Red Vines.
You're a Red Vines guy?
Hell no.
Okay.
Twizzlers.
All right.
Twizzlers.
Nice.
I actually remember the first time I ever ate Twizzlers. I don't know why, but I was watching the Prince movie Under the Cherry Moon at a theater maybe 10 miles away from here, and my buddy was like, dude, Twizzlers, you gotta try these. They're awesome. And I'm like, okay, sure, I'll give it a shot. So yeah. Okay.
Twizzlers, you can bite off the ends and make it a straw.
Yes.
I mean,
I didn't figure
that out. Oh, nice.
So you did a bunch of arcade projects. Did you ever tinker with like console projects? Or
I mean, other than collecting consoles, not really. I haven't really done any console projects per se.
Let's do a console collecting collect off. Let's talk Odyssey.
Odyssey 1 or 2?
1.
I got both, 1 and 2.
Okay, you have 1 and 2. I only have 1. I only have 2. I don't have 1.
Yeah, the 1's pretty hard.
I have an original.
I have an Odyssey 5000, which is a Pong clone.
Yeah, I have that. Well, wasn't that like the Pong?
Yeah.
The black and white Pong? Yeah, I've got one of those.
Yeah.
Do you have the Odyssey speech thing that goes on the top?
I do.
I have that too.
Oh.
I have a ton of Odyssey 2 shit. I mean, we could go. I have Cubert.
Do a whole board.
I'm selling one, so I'll let you know what I have, and you can.
Do you have the Odyssey that has the plug-in controllers or the wired ones?
Mine are wired.
I have the plug-in.
Mine are plug.
Yes. Actually, I have 2 Odysseys. I have both those. Anyway, okay. ColecoVision.
Yep.
Atari 2600.
Which one?
Junior, heavy, or light?
I have a heavy sixer, light sixer. I have the Darth Vader. I have the Junior.
Okay.
I have the 7200. I have the 5200.
7800.
7800.
Yep.
78 and 5200.
Yep. I had a 5200. Actually, I had two of them. I refurbed both of them and sold both of them because I don't like the 5200.
It's
And then
massive.
It is, and it's not very fun to play. The controller is very.
Controls are horrible.
It's awful.
It's almost like they were like, "Damn, Intellivision has the right idea."
Let's just make this impossible.
It's like there's a really bad joystick for the Atari 2600. Let's make it worse.
Right.
Yes.
And I actually have no Intellivision products. I know you do.
I have 4 different versions of Intellivision.
Mm-hmm.
There's the Sylvania, the original Sylvania. There's the GE version.
Oh, yeah.
And I have
Yeah.
the Tandy one, which the Tandy one is the coolest one. It's actually like fake wood grain.
Actually, if memory serves, didn't Atari have like an Atari 2400 that was Japan only, or
I
something
think
like?
so. I don't have that.
Someone in the chat probably knows. Anyway, okay, Sega.
I just have the Master System.
Oh, I love the
original
Master
one.
System. The Master System is so awesome.
It is. It's the best.
I have the 3D
the
glasses.
other
I have the gun. I have a bunch of card games. I have Spy versus
I
Spy.
have one of the guns that I converted to work on Vectrex too.
Oh, cool. Atari computers.
400, 800, 800 XL.
800. I have an 800 XL. That's
And I
pretty
have the, what is it, the 1040?
cool. Oh.
I have a really minty one, like it's looks brand new
Is
with
that
the monitor.
128K?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Nice. Apple products.
Apple II, Apple IIe, Apple IIc, Apple II GS.
I don't have a GS.
I think that's it.
I have an Apple IIc color monitor.
I don't have a color monitor.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you doing any classic PC stuff or just mostly Apple?
Mostly Apple. I have an Amiga.
Ooh, yeah.
500.
You could have an
Oh,
Amiga.
nice. What about Commodore and TI stuff?
Commodore 64, Commodore 128.
I don't have that.
Commodore SX64. Have you seen that? Bad boy?
Yes, I have. And do you have
No.
do you have a compact
Hold on.
64?
What's that?
Is that the compact 64?
Yeah, hold on. Let me-
Yep, it's the luggable.
Oh, it's right over there.
It's really cool. It's got a little 4-inch screen.
I actually have a compact portable 3 PC behind me.
Actually, one of my neighbors and a friend that I've known for 20 years has that thing.
Oh,
It's beautiful. Take it off, baby. Oh, look at that.
Yeah. Oh.
Color monitor.
Yeah. So, a guy that I know, I call him a friend because I know him well enough. He's out of Germany. If you know Vectrex, you might have heard of Vec Fever.
Okay.
So he built the Vec Fever. He built a special kernel that sits in here. So when I boot this thing up, I hit a key combination on the keyboard, and it connects to Wi-Fi to an FTP site and downloads any ROM that I want.
Nice.
What?
So, yeah.
That is
got
so
Wi-Fi on it.
cool. I gotta hook you up with my friend Matt, who lives up the street. He would dig that totally. Okay, so
It's amazing.
Do you have a Vic?
Cool.
Are you a Vic 20 guy?
I have one. Vic 20 is one of the first computers I worked. Color computer was really the first one. Believe it or not, I don't have any color computers, but that was like
Coco.
what I started on. Coco, yeah. I have a Vic 20. I did a bunch of high school projects on a Vic 20.
The Vic 20 was the first computer I ever bought myself, and I programmed Mary Had a Little Lamb on it, which took me almost all friggin' day, and then I had nothing to save it on.
I remember buying the magazine, and the magazine had the hex characters that you would type in for assembler, and you would type each one of those, and if you got one of those wrong, you'd have to start all over.
Yeah.
Like it was the worst thing ever,
Oh.
and we loved it. But
Yeah.
so TI-99, Spectrum, I have those.
Nice.
Nice.
Billy's asking if you got a Trash 80.
Oh yeah.
I had a color computer, trash 80 color computer.
Yep.
Right.
I had a Commodore PET.
Oh, nice. What happened to that guy?
I sold it. They're too big.
Yeah, and they're beautiful.
Mick Sinclair.
Thomas Sinclair. I got one of those.
By the way, the pet was in Star Trek 2.
Yep.
In Admiral Kirk's quarters.
Huh.
That thing is awesome. I programmed my first program on a pet computer at the computer lab in 3rd grade.
Yeah, that's about right. That's when we had our Super Pet.
And then we could play, they had the cassette player, and we could load games. And there was this lawn mowing game. I don't remember what it was called. Probably like lawn mowing.
Sounds right.
I remember this pet game it was all ASCII. It was a Dungeons and Dragons type.
Yeah.
Where you move it and like it would open up and the monster would be like that weird double S character that looked like a dragon and stuff.
Yeah.
Man,
it's like playing Star Trek back in the day where it was all ASCII characters in a little grid.
Yep.
Oh, good times.
Yep. Good times.
Man,
I think
what
else.
We actually our generation is, I think, the luckiest generation when it comes to video games, and here's why. We were around at the right age for the PC revolution, and for everything that came before a video game console, we were there. So we saw everything. And even if we don't remember it, to the T, I mean, we're basically there at the birth of video games as we know today.
Yes.
If you don't count like Tennis for Two in the 60s and whatever, but what I'm saying is that, we were at the cusp. We have seen every single personal computer console that has existed in our lifetime. And we're the only generation that can say that right now. Besides the boomers that are still alive, but the Gen Xers, and that's us 4, right? I mean, we're solidly Gen X. So, it's really, really freaking cool to be part of this whole thing. And I think that's why arcade games have such a huge impact on us. I mean, fuck King of Kong and all these movies. I mean, they're great and they were inspirational in many cases, but I think that we lived it. I mean, we were there in the 80s, man.
But careful about so Steve's a good friend of mine.
Steve Wiebe?
Yeah,
he's been on the show. I love the guy.
Yeah, I know. He's like
Steve.
8 or 9 miles away from me. So
that's awesome. He was on the show, and actually it's funny because when he was on the show, he actually had a plumber working in his house.
I have to talk to the plumber. I'll be right back.
Yeah, exactly. It was like half the show. He's like, Steve is talking to the plumber. I mean, it's like, what? Anyway.
So right over here,
I
have a box, and in that box is the Donkey Kong Jr. board that Steve got his world record on because I loaned him that board. So it's sitting on that box over here.
Oh, that is awesome. Yeah, I've got his autograph. I have his autograph on my DK machine. He played it at the Mall of America.
That's cool.
Yeah, he's a good guy. And I've got these posters that I want to give out to as prizes that are signed by him.
Very cool. Yeah, and it's funny. It's funny because I'll bump into people that find out that I know Steve, and they're like, "We saw the movie. Is he really that nice in real life?" It's like,
yeah,
he is.
Yep, he's totally humble. And he just had a new album come out. By the way, he sounds exactly like Michael W. Smith. I mean, he's a Christian artist, singer, but he's amazing. He's really good.
He really is.
And the last album he released sounds exactly like a frickin' I mean, he sounds like Michael W. Smith. I grew up on Christian music because my family was a fundamentalist Christian family. I may not be as faithful as I used to be, but I appreciate the music. So
I grew up on the Christian music because this girl was super hot that I dated. So then I was also.
I didn't grow up on the Christian music because I'm Jewish. So
I love it.
That would have been really awkward.
It would have been being born in Israel and like I speak Hebrew and stuff, and it's like it would have been really weird.
Yeah.
So it would be really odd.
That's great.
So weird, like outcast.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, this interview took a total turn. Okay,
So wait, prior to Sam pulling an OK boomer, he did ask. Oh, he did.
Did he do that?
Oh, he did.
It was funny because
he asked.
That's just a jerk move by people that don't know what a boomer is.
What's your favorite game?
What's
your favorite classic game?
Favorite classic game.
Like, are we talking like everything, like consoles?
He said favorite old arcade game.
Okay, that's better.
Okay, so
cabinet. Yes.
So it depends. If it's a cabinet, it's probably Star Wars. If I look at an old game, if I look at Apple had this game called Swashbuckler, which was a horrible game. But about a year ago, there was a show locally where I got a booth and I sold a bunch of stuff because I have way too much stuff. I was going to do it again this year, but obviously it got canceled. And so I had my son come and help me sell stuff. So I have a picture of my youngest son, who's almost 20, same hair color as Adam. We'll talk about that in a second. And I have pictures of him playing an Apple II on a monochrome monitor playing Swashbuckler.
Oh, that's cool.
And it was so cool to see because at his age, I was playing that game with my best friend. So it was, so I just love that game. Another game I really like is Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Oh yes, the text adventure.
Yep, and I remember that because
it came with a little cotton ball.
It did, with lint, pocket lint,
Mm-hmm.
or belly button lint. But the reason I really like that game is it took me probably about 5 or 6 hours to get past the first stage. And so the first stage, it's like you're sitting there because there was no online guides. There's like no way to find out what. So like you're like, right, you can't do that. Left, you can't do that. Up, you can't do that. Everything is black. Everything is black. Everything is black. 5 or 6 hours. First command, open eyes. And then you can see. Like it took me 5 or 6 hours to figure out you have to open your friggin' eyes.
Oh
to
my
get past
gosh.
the first like that.
Have you seen the documentary Get Lamp?
Yes.
Oh, so good. You guys should watch it. Very good. The Jason Scott, is that who did it?
I think so.
So one of the guys that does the documentaries. Anyway, so those are awesome. Do you have any other ones you want to add?
I think that's probably it.
Mark, do you have any like you roll off the top of your head?
Of what?
Favorite games. I mean, like an arcade computer console. Go.
Let's talk about computer. I grew up with a TI-99 4A because my dad worked for Texas Instruments, and what's really weird is that I have a ton of engineering prototype hardware because he was in hybrid technologies where they would build the power supplies and stuff like that. So I was like, recently looking at all the things that were in the attic, and I'm like, there's no serial number. What does ENG PROT mean? And he's like, well, this is like the prototype of the thing, And I'm like, that's really weird. So Munchman, I think, was one of my favorite TI-99 4A games.
It was actually a better Pac-Man port than the one that was on Atari.
It was.
Alpine Climber for some reason.
Ah,
I remember that.
Like
oh my god!
Totally like a crazy climber kind of game, right?
Cool.
Yeah. And I programmed a BBS on my 99 4A because I really liked Apple BBSs. They use this software called Net. I can't remember exactly. Nick Nyamo built it, but I wrote a BBS exactly with the same UI look. So when you logged in, it looked like you were logging into an Apple BBS.
That's actually pretty cool.
To my BBS, and cool. so those things were like really. Oh, I also learned about how to hack Apple BBSs too. There was this famous 99E99 bug, where I guess that number did something where it caused the program to break, but it would allow you to still be connected, so that you could change code and
Yeah.
Oh.
You dropped onto the CLI.
Exactly.
Yeah. I ran those bulletin boards. I know.
I made a lot of friends that way, actually.
I'm gonna get out my nerd glasses.
Okay.
So,
you're missing the tape.
What's that?
You're missing the tape.
Oh yes. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Just break those.
It's gonna.
There we go.
There we go.
Yeah.
Well,
it always has to be in the middle.
If I was,
Is that good?
One thing I totally forgot. Like the one thing that, like my favorite console, would be the Vectrex.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Is it cool?
I think I have 7, but
wow.
Yeah.
7 Vectrexes.
Yeah.
If you need to get rid of one, let me know. I got rid of mine. Okay, so my favorite, not that anybody cares, but my favorite computer game would have been either Hard Hat Mac. It was actually Hard Hat Mac for the Apple II, and then I also really loved StarCon on the PC.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason why is because we could play with 2 players. And so my buddy Ben and I would play for hours, and we had StarCon 2, which was weird because it had like a story, and StarCon 3, which was like the best. But they were super fun. And then, I've Super Mario Brothers, Nintendo, blah, blah, blah. And our Star Trek arcade, blah. Brian, do you have any favorite PC console games?
Well, so my first, arcade whatever, my dad brought home an old broken oscilloscope, and I figured out how to make the little thing, go up and down and then shoot across the screen when I pushed a button. So I was, literally, when I was 8 years old, 7 years old, that was my little thing I had to play with. But the first actual computer arcade game, whatever, that I played with was a Trash 80, and we used to play Dungeons of Daggereth.
Oh.
So
yeah.
that was I used to go to my friend Rob's house. He had one of those, I can't remember the little Pong gun thing we were talking about earlier, on his TV, and that broke, and then the TRS-80 came back to his house, and that kind of absorbed all of our time playing Dungeons of Daggereth.
Well, yeah, when Brian was a kid, his parents gave him a paper bag, and
have fun.
So I didn't have a console at my house until I was, so that'd be 8th grade.
My first video game console was a Pong that was bought used, and then I didn't buy. My parents wouldn't buy a console for us. I mean, we got it at a garage sale, so I bought my own console in 1988, and it was a Nintendo.
The irony of the console was it was the first year my parents were divorced. My parents were divorced.
Mm-hmm.
My dad went out and bought the NES. It was the first year it came out or whatever.
Oh wow, 85.
It was what was that I don't know what to get the kids for Christmas because I've never had to buy them presents. What's the hottest game what's the hottest thing on the market?
Yeah.
Ooh, I'll buy that.
Yeah.
So they gave you a paper bag? my parents gave us a plastic bag. My brother played with it all the time. I miss him a lot.
I was terrified of plastic bags growing up. I was convinced they'd jump on your head and suffocate you.
Well,
I know there's a whole movie about that.
Well, so here's the thing. I don't know if you guys saw this, kind of a tangent. There was a show called Devs. I don't know if you saw the show.
Love Devs.
Yeah.
Love
okay.
it.
So the first episode, paper bag or plastic bag over the guy's head, and the guy dies. It's
yes.
Reach up and puncture a hole in the mouth.
Right. Yes.
There's a 35-second or 2-minute scene where the guy is dying because he can't breathe in a plastic. Rip the plastic bag.
Dude, you guys got to see Devs. So good.
Is it what's it on? Is it Amazon or what is it?
FXX.
Okay, I don't have that.
FXX. Yeah.
By the way, Dolly says she did an archaeological dig in college with Harvard in Israel, so she had to learn Hebrew, so she didn't get sold for 20 camel.
Yeah, that's funny.
Oh, and my other TI 99 game, by the way, that I could not remember, Parsec.
Oh yes, that was a great game.
There you go.
That's awesome. Anyway, nerdy. Okay, so we got some final questions for anybody. Hey, Barry, Barry Shilmover. That guy's in the chat. This guy's everywhere. Holy crap. So, but before we shut down, if anybody has any additional questions for the night, and Barry, stick around with us after we. The dog is sleeping.
Is he having a dream?
Yeah.
I love dog dreams.
Yeah, she
you
does
ever
that.
wonder what is he barking at?
I don't know. She's.
I love when their feet move, like they're running in their dream.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm running, and there's a rabbit here.
Yeah, poor girl. She loves. She falls asleep anywhere, and that's a constant thing. Anyway, before you stick with us, Barry. Anybody have any questions in the chat? I don't see any. Do we have any last minute questions from us?
I was just going to add in that Commodore 64 Archon was another game I loved. But
Oh yeah, Billy 7 says, "What?" Oh, this is a good last question. What is the Time Lord's future plans?
That is a good question. To be able to go out and have a beer at a pub.
Right.
Yes.
Wait, Mr. Peabody wants to know your thoughts on Exterminator.
Oh, we almost made it through a whole episode. Want to ban the next person that says that? Oh my God.
Oh wait, let me type that. What is it? Thoughts on Exterminator.
It's like the best arcade game ever.
Yes. If you're blind and dumb. Oh my God.
And Adam.
And you know what's funny? Chris does not care about that game. He just said that. Because he and I were standing there, and both of us were like, this game
Billy
sucks.
7 likes Exterminator. He has to. He stayed up all night with me fixing it.
I don't think he has to. I think he likes you. I don't think he likes Exterminator.
Exterminator is definitely easier to work with.
Wow,
than me.
you know what? We could have. I'm sure people that listen to the show have just hung up. Like they're talking about Exterminator again. Oh, ha ha! It's real funny. I'm telling you, it's a ratings booster. Okay, all right. So this is the time when on Sprockets, when we wrap up the show, right?
Let's do it.
Okay, all right. Let's play a different outro tonight. Oh yeah, this is gonna be good. And there we go. I want to thank everybody in the chat for listening in tonight. It's been great having you here. This has been Double R's. That's Arcade Radio.
Like us at Facebook at Arcade Radio, or check us out in the somewhat never regularly updated blog at arcaderadio.com. That's RCADERADIO.com.
Call and leave comments and questions on the game line, just like Hollis Oates. That sounds a lot like Hall & Oates, doesn't it? Isn't that kind of weird how it's like that?
It does.
612-548-GAME or 4263 if you can't spell.
Yes, well, and such and so forth. Do you like this thingy that we do? Become an arcade cadet or captain or whatever the levels are currently at, and support the show by subscribing to Patreon campaign at patreon.com/arcaderadio.
Should be like a Fudge Packer level now.
Oh.
Subscribe
yeah.
to your YouTube channel and click on the notification bell so you'll know when we're streaming live.
I love fudge. You can also subscribe to our podcast on Anchor FM, iTunes, Google Play Music, and wherever
Podcasts.
I did not mean to do that.
Okay, well, that'll be it for the show from the Arcade Radio team. We hope you had a great time, and we will see you on the next episode.
All right. Thanks, YouTube.
Thank you, YouTubers. We need more sirens in our life.